Welcome back everyone to another packed video. We've got lots of information in this video, from lawsuits still going on with the FTC and the class action lawsuits, and you won't believe what they're actually fighting over this time. But we've also got like modern warfare. We've actually got proof of, the media being completely biased. It's not just a fabrication. This is actually happening, and it's a drag. We've also got information on the Xbox. Actually, the console's actually flooding out of the markets, especially at Best Buy. We've got some really good intel there. So lots of information to get from in this video. I do hope you enjoy it. And if you do, we are setting this video another 500 like challenge. We almost hit it last time, but just missed it. I think we can do it this time. Don't forget to subscribe if you have yet to do so. We have a lot of videos coming out this week, so hopefully we can get to that 6,000 subs this week and try to push on until Christmas to get to that 7.5k. That said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you want to support me further, you can do that through my Patreon, YouTube membership, or Super Thanks, or simply the easiest way and free, hitting that like button, and of course, subscribing to the channel. Right, so first thing first, we have over here from Stephen Totillo, update on the gamer lawsuit against Microsoft Activision. Judge sides with Microsoft, surprise, surprise, in sparing Arcane's Harvey Smith from being deposed over RedFall exclusivity. So it turns out that the PlayStation community is actually after RedFall. They still want it. They still want RedFall on PlayStation. For all that memeing, for all that, crying, for all that mocking and everything, they are still going to court over RedFall. This is ridiculous. Plaintiffs had made no showing as to how decisions regarding RedFall's exclusivity are relevant to their claims. So they are still crying right now that RedFall is exclusive to Xbox and not on PlayStation. So the next time you see a pony crying or laughing at the fact that RedFall got a 5 out of 10, just let them see this deposition over here and let them know that their fans are the ones trying to sue Microsoft, take them to court to get RedFall onto PlayStation, right? So I thought that would be a good way to start this, because that's hilarious. This is hilarious. This is absolutely hilarious. All right, next up we have this one over here. This is pretty much Xbox tax in a window. So Modern Warfare 3 has been bashed left and right. And have you seen over here, it's pretty much saying the same thing, that it's been getting aggressive hate for no reason. But we do have a bunch of stuff over here that actually kind of corroborate with that, right? So we're looking at DuckDuckNabbit. Genuinely don't understand Call of Duty getting its worst reviews of all time with Modern Warfare 3, especially not the multiplayer. We've had some terrible COD games, but none have ever been scrutinized this heavily by major gaming media outlets and reviewers. What changed? Well, what has changed, Doug, is the fact that now Microsoft owned them, and because Microsoft owned them, every reviewer is pretty much now lifting up every single rock to make sure that there is not a texture out of place, in order to make sure that they can find something to criticize the game. While this was an Activision game, this probably would have got a 7 out of 10. But because it's a Microsoft game now, it's getting heavily criticized by the media and the community. Of course, the PlayStation fans are going to mock it. That's a given, right? Because it's an Xbox game now. But the media should be ashamed of themselves for doing this. Of course, we've got over here, Modern Warfare 3 is the best COD multiplayer we've had in years, but somehow is also the worst reviewed Call of Duty game of all time. I don't understand it, especially when you compare scores to some of the other games like Vanguard. Do you think these reviews are deserved? We also have this, PC Gamer, the notorious PlayStation fanboy, right? PlayStation fanboy publication, says Modern Warfare 3 is not fun because Sledgehammer Games took a sledgehammer to the movement that Infinity Ward had in Modern Warfare 3. The reviewer calls slide cancelling and faster mantling, and faster movement, by the way, it's actually more fluid, cheesy techniques. So basically, they're just making shit up just so they can give a bad review. And then you've got PC Gamer over here. Microsoft celebrates its conquest of Activision and triumph of capitalism with a montage. I mean, you can clearly see the dig that they're throwing here. you can clearly see that this PlayStation-centric magazine, or publication, comic, whatever you want to call this thing, because they're not journalists, clearly. But this PlayStation-centric website is clearly throwing digs, and the fact that they're calling faster movement, faster mantling, slide cancelling, actual cheese techniques is pretty sad, right? It's pretty sad. But you can see why, you know, this game got reviewed really badly. It is simply because Microsoft owned them. There is no other reason. Maybe the campaign was short, fair enough, but there's been other campaigns which has been listed that have been shorter than this one and have reviewed higher. So that's not an excuse. Not at all. Of course, it doesn't really matter because Infinity Ward is expanding. Excited to announce the creation of Infinity Ward Austin. This new development team, based in Austin, Texas, joins our teams in LA, Poland, and Mexico. We're hiring for all positions. So they are gearing up to pretty much make the next Call of Duty the best it possibly can be, which is amazing because the one that came out now was pretty much put on, given as scraps to PlayStation to feed their final exclusivity that they were owed. Because let's face it, it was a DLC, but it was turned into a game, so it could feed the ponies. They needed that final exclusivity to free Microsoft of the shackles of Sony. Otherwise, it would have gone into next year. So thanks to that move, and even then, it still didn't deserve the hate it got. Hopefully, the next one is going to be absolutely amazing, and of course, be a #1 seller on all platforms. And as we can see here, this one is crazy. The FTC and the CMA must be crying right now. Seriously, they must be crying. This OpenAI situation is quite something to behold. Because Microsoft probably would have tried to buy ChatGPT, right? But considering the CMA definitely would have intervened in regards to Microsoft trying to control AI, like they did with Activision Blizzard with the cloud gaming, it's no surprise that Microsoft didn't really go for that approach because it would have caused problems. But Microsoft, thanks to the complete idiocy of the OpenAI board, has effectively managed to acquire OpenAI in spirit and talent because the people, the guy behind the whole thing was fired. He was let go. He was told to leave. And because of this, Microsoft stepped in immediately and picked him up with no questions asked. They offered him a job he could not refuse, and he took it straight away without having to fight with global regulators. The FTC and CMA are almost certainly fuming right now because basically what Microsoft did was, hey, this guy was the one that basically created the ChatGPT. It was his work that made this a reality. And so what Microsoft did was, well, we don't need to buy OpenAI because the soul of OpenAI has just gone on the free market. And the regulators can't stop Microsoft from hiring someone. So Microsoft stepped in immediately, offered him a deal, a contract, he accepted, and now Microsoft technically own OpenAI. They might not own the actual company AI, but the reality is they own the brains behind it, the mastermind behind it. And so that's as good as, that is literally a goldmine falling on Microsoft's lap. And the FTC and CMA, who are getting ready to take Microsoft to court again, can do jack shit. And this makes me super happy. Really happy. Because the FTC and the CMA have been very unfair to Microsoft over the past 2 years. All right, so this one over here is actually quite funny. Did Microsoft acquire PlayStation overnight? Microsoft market cap increased 115 billion. And this is because of what we just talked about. So Microsoft trades on Robinhood 24/7. Microsoft jumped from $360 to $376 since Satya announced Sam and GBD is joining Microsoft. This is the OpenAI dudes because they are the forefathers of the technology. They are the brains behind it. OpenAI basically just got rid of the brains behind the whole organization. It's mind-boggling how stupid they are. I'm guessing what OpenAI said was, man, look at Unity. They just rocked the internet. They have got so much engagement. We're going to have to, they did this, hold my beer, because we're going to one-up them. And they completely and utterly screwed up. That's 115 billion or 1.4 OpenAI's worth of market cap added in the last 60 minutes. That's ridiculous. And what somebody's posting here is Sony Group Corp. Their whole market capitalization is 109. Microsoft just earned 115 billion more than what their market capitalization is worth in 60 minutes because of this announcement. And so what they're saying is, in a comical fashion, then Microsoft acquire PlayStation overnight. That is quite funny. I like what they did there. I do. I really do like what they did there. And you got this over there. I see what you did there. It's funny. It's funny. But this is where it becomes really, really, starts to go really dark for Sony, because it looks like Jim's forecast actually has some truth to it. Because he said in court during the FTC trial, if Xbox acquires Activision Blizzard, PlayStation's business will never recover. And as we know now, for the first time, whether the fanboys want to agree with it or not, or whether the stats are true or not, it's basically the information we have right now until it's falsified. So we are looking at it on face value, that Microsoft has leapfrogged in terms of profits Sony for the first time. And clearly with 2023, their actual income has not been that great. They've only had one first-party game. Games like Final Fantasy 16 didn't do as well as they could have done. And with next year, it looks like other games are being pushed to 2025. We've got almost no first-party games coming along, and they've lost the exclusivity marketing rights to Call of Duty as well. So it doesn't really look that great for Sony. But it looks like what he was saying has some merit to it, because when we look at this one over here, and Astel says he warned you, Sony Group has been doing pretty bad ever since. I mean, they're still, trading within fame, but they're nowhere near where they were in July. But once the deal went through, it crashed. It crashed real hard. Confidence crashed, and there wasn't much Sony could respond with outside of the PS Portal, if you're going to call that a response. The fact that Jim actually called this out, and he was worried that losing ABK would hurt Sony in so many different ways, is actually pretty impressive. I didn't think it would hurt them so much, because I think certain games would still be on that platform, like Call of Duty, like Diablo, like Overwatch. Those games, in my opinion, thrive on open community, crossplay. So locking them away just doesn't make sense. Just look at what they did with Tower of Fantasy. Okay, it's a really small scale game compared to the others, like really small. But they locked it to their own ecosystem, and the game is now suffering quite badly compared to the global version, which they chose to ignore and not join, which has PC and mobile. And so that's a really good opportunity now for Microsoft to step in and join that global economy and just completely outclass that of the PlayStation version. Because it makes sense, right? When we all play, we all win. This is really, really cool. After nearly a full day, the $399 Xbox Series X takes the #1 hardware SKU at Best Buy, along with the #1 SKU for video games. That's pretty damn cool and impressive, and it's outselling it's clearly outselling everything else, including the PS5 over at Best Buy. But then we have this over here 25 hours later, and this is still the case. It is still outselling, and it is still doing amazingly well. And then we have this over here, Walmart showing good Series X sales at the moment, and this holiday season and the Black Friday season has just started, right? We've got a Black Friday, then we're going to go into the holiday season, and this is where Microsoft really needs to push the Xbox. And as you can see through these bundles, they are doing just that. Too bad Walmart doesn't go beyond 1,000, like 2,000, etc. So what it's actually showing on their statistics is that over 1,000 units have been sold. So the Diablo version, which is this one over here, well, in fact, all of these. So if you look at this one over here, the Series S bundle, over 1,000 has sold. If you look at this one over here, over 1,000 has sold. That's a Diablo one. Now you've got Diablo with the Modern Warfare 3, and again, over 1,000 has sold. And then you've got the basic version, which again, over 1,000 has sold. So, it's actually doing incredibly well at the moment, and hopefully that will continue, because what we need is for the Xbox console to start shifting. Yes, we do have the PC version, the games go on PC, but the reality is for third-party publishers, when they look at the console, they want to see how wide, how big that market is. And if the console isn't as big, they're less inclined to release content on there. So hopefully that will change this Christmas when they start to increase their quantity of consoles sold. And Microsoft just needs to be a lot more aggressive with this now and start pushing out these consoles as much as possible. And folks, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I did tell you there's a lot of information here, lots of good stuff for Microsoft, and lots of not so good stuff for Sony, and Jimbo finally being right about something and no longer is the, you know, Jimmy lying, flying Ryan, but you know, he called it, he knew, he could see it coming, and it's actually starting to propagate and become a reality as they are now just falling behind in terms of where they were. And now they're in this rut where they've got no real games first party coming out. They're in the rut that Xbox was in some years ago, and it's all about trying to manage that and get out of that successfully. Let's see if they can do that. But as far as Xbox is concerned, things are looking up and up and up. Acquiring OpenAI indirectly is a massive win. Consoles like this now, where they can advertise Diablo, which Sony cannot do, and also just like at this point, just add COD in, even though they can't actually create the marketing for it, they can sell it with it. So this is a win-win situation. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion. If you did find this video informative, useful, do consider leaving a like. We are trying to hit that 500 likes. If you have yet to subscribe, please do consider subscribing. It really means the world to me and the channel because it really helps with that exposure. And finally, if you do want to support the channel further, you can do that through my YouTube membership. Underneath the video, there's a red button there. Click on that join and you'll find all the information. You can do that through my Patreon, which you'll find in the description below, or you can click on that super thanks if you really enjoyed this video and want to thank for the information from this video. Either way, a simple like and a subscribe is more than enough. Until the next video, stay safe and remain legend.